Levi Meyer from Compass Real Estate.
Hi, thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure. And I noticed that we got all color coordinated. This was totally coincidental.
When I walked in the building, you had a different shirt on, so I was here first.
Yeah, that's right. We have the flowers here in the shirt, the white one's up there.
Perfect.
So
beautiful.
Congratulations on whoever's doing this. So tell us about the real estate market nowadays.
Oh, well, I can tell you about Miami real estate.
Yes, Miami real estate.
It's lava hot, just insanely like it's a frenzy. We have an inundation of people coming from New York, New Jersey, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. I mean, these are cities that are for the most part shut down or slowly opening, whereas Miami has been open for a very long time. I think winter, politics, a lot of things are affecting the great exodus, but we are inundated.
So in March and April, we were talking with some folks in the real estate business. They said there was a 4-year supply of homes in Pinecrest. That was in April.
That was in April. Well, I can tell you now, I looked last week at the numbers in Pinecrest, and there were 79 homes pending sale, and meaning under contract waiting to be sold. And there were 119 homes available for purchase, just single family homes, Pinecrest, without any filters. And if you were to call all 119 of those that are actually listed for sale, you'll find that at least 20-25% of them are already under contract. They just haven't changed the status because they're waiting for inspections. And so when you do that, you shift it over and you realize there's more homes pending sale than there is for sale in Pinecrest, which are these are staggering numbers.
So the people they're buying in Pinecrest, and I'm not quite sure what the average home there, but it's pretty pricey for us folks that live down south. Are those a lot of those people from out of town that are coming here with their money, or are upgrades for local folks?
Well, I'm dealing with a lot of people from out of town personally. I'm speaking with other realtors who are also seeing people upsizing, downsizing, shifting. You know, it's not just people coming from New York and New Jersey and California. It's people that are realizing they need an extra pool, they need an extra office or a den, and maybe.
Did you say extra pool?
No, they need a pool.
Okay.
They need an extra office. They need an extra bedroom. They need a den. They need a study. They need more living space. Maybe they're more appreciative now of outdoor spaces, and so people are shifting around. There are a lot of people that are downsizing. So we're seeing couples that are maybe not specifically in Pinecrest, but we're seeing people go sell their homes in Pinecrest and move into Coral Gables or move over to the Sunset Islands, South Beach.
What affected I'm going to like to use that word, so we won't, did that virus cause in the market for us locally? When did it start going, hey, there's a change that's happened?
Well, it was almost immediately in March. It was screeching halt, and for all of March, and if I was doing business in March, it was for the most part trying to salvage whatever deals were still on the table. People were panicking. They thought the market was going to take a huge dip. We were giving credits. People were trying to cancel. We were very successful in keeping, I think at the time we had 7 or 8 deals in play, and we were able to close all of them. And quite frankly, it did exactly the opposite, but it really started to take a shift for us in May, June, July. It just really started to peak and really started to really accelerate. And the last month or so it's been a frenzy. I think it's going to continue. It's going to, in my opinion, going to get a lot worse. So for buyers trying to find homes with limited inventory. For sellers, it's a great time.
So I read the South Florida Business Journal frequently, and they love telling about all the expensive homes. What CEO bought this house, 10 million, 15 million, 20 million, these giant mansions all over.
I saw a home last Wednesday. I went to see a house on Leafy Way in Coconut Grove. This house sits on 2.88 acres. It's nearly 3 acres of land in Coconut Grove, which is, Coconut Grove, a large lot is considered 12,000 square feet. An acre is 43,560. So to have nearly 3 acres is nearly 150,000 square feet of land. So it's just an enormous lot, and it's just a beautiful property. You're instantly sort of transported in, like as if you're in Europe somewhere. It has this great traditional home on the front side of it, koi ponds and waterfalls, and then you go down towards the west side of the property. It just extends for about 2.5 more acres, and it has trails and lookout views and just gardens, like coral pathways. It's pretty mind-blowing. It's on the market for $17 million. It's listed by a Sotheby's agent, but I brought 2 buyers to that last week, and it was stunning.
3 acres, that's a bunch.
3 acres. We were looking, the only other places that you see 3 acres in Coconut Grove, Ransom Everglades, Carrollton, the Barnacle Historic State Park, Vizcaya. So these are institutional properties. So to be able to have something that's that large is pretty magnificent.
Okay,
so yeah, that's one of those that people want to come in and see. Now that's not an everyday property. You know, we're showing homes in the Gables, in the Grove, and Pinecrest in the $2.5, $3.25, $4+ million range. I just brought a listing to the market 2 days ago in Coral Gables. It's a house that's 1 year old. I like to say it's 1 year new because he spent a year bringing it up to do all the things that he didn't get it delivered to him at. It's on the Coral Gables Waterway. It's 715 South Alhambra. We listed 2 days ago for $4.25. 3 p.m. on Thursday, we listed it. Before sunset, we did 3 showings. Friday, I did 3 only because I was limited in time to 3. Pushed everybody else to Sunday and did 8 back-to-back showings every half hour on the dot.
And how much
from 9:45 a.m. And today we're receiving our first offer. Probably 2 more on the way.
Amazing.
That's $4.25.
So let's talk about
that's the market, and those buyers, almost a good majority of those buyers were either coming from New York, or there were people downsizing from bigger Pinecrest homes or Gables homes whose kids are growing up, going to college, and now they want that little
downsizing to a 4.3.
Well, they're downsizing from an 8,000 square foot house in Pinecrest on an acre or a quarter, 3/4 of an acre plus, to a 3,400 square foot house on 9,000 square foot lot that happens to sit on the water. But yes, 4.25, it doesn't get you very much on the Gables Waterway.
So what percentage of homes that you handle are on or near the water?
I have a specialty in waterway, but it's not by any measure the majority of my sales. Maybe the majority of my dollar volume sales because they're more expensive homes. But we do a whole lot of homes in the Grove and Miami Beach. Over the last 2-3 months or so, I've sold about 4 houses on the water. So it's a good amount of volume, but I'm very familiar with the waterways.
So how long you been with Compass?
So in June, I'll be 5 years at Compass.
So 5 years ago.
Almost as long as Compass is in Florida.
So 5 years ago, you made a decision to change where you were working and to go with Compass. At that point, they were being created. Is that about right?
Yeah, more or less. The Compass was already established before I had arrived, but they were a New York company. And they had expanded to, I think, D.C. and Boston. I think they had a Los Angeles office at that point. I mean, they had less than 1,000 employees and agents nationally at that time. In Florida, when I met them, there were about 6 agents. By the time I joined a few months later, I think I was agent 30-something in Florida. So today there's a little over 1,200 agents in Florida, and there's, I think, a little over 22,000 nationally.
So what did you see back then that said, I'm going to go with Compass?
So, I mean, they were looking at things very differently than most other brokerages were. I mean, the traditional brokerage was getting tired and old. You come in, you reap what you sow. The brokerage takes a piece. They offer very little. Most of them didn't have or struggled to put together a national network. Compass came in with the idea that they were going to bring technology into real estate. And for me, that was very exciting, watching the development of tech. I wasn't particularly impressed with their tech at the time. I mean, this is almost 6 years ago now, when I first started hearing about them. And it's come leaps and bounds since then. Now we have, I want to say 600 or 700 engineers that work directly for Compass in Seattle and New York. But it was the vision of them bringing tech and their model of being agent focused. So that their job is to create tools and tech that make my job easier and make me more effective to be able to handle my clients. I didn't see any other brokerages that were really doing that. And outside of all of that, they have this mentality of culture at Compass, where the agents are friendly and collaborative and full-time. A lot of these brokerages, you'll see agents get a license, they sell 1 home a year. They're not doing anybody a great service in doing that. Compass only hires agents that have a 2-year proven track record, minimum dollar volumes. But more importantly than just their experience levels, they're focused on culture. And so, they do a great deal of vetting agents before they allow them to come on board. And so, especially when we were a very small company, we grow and, you grow and it loosens up a little bit. But when we were a very small, tight company, I mean, it was just the greatest group of agents that could learn and collaborate with one another.
So without mentioning that word, but the way that you're showing homes, right? The way that you're showing homes, it's a little different than 4 or 5 months ago. So what does it look like if you look down the road now?
Well, at first it was very tricky to understand if you can show homes, who's going to show homes. Tenants weren't letting people in. Sellers were very wary about it. I think people have a good grasp on where things are going now with COVID. There's probably a lot less tension than there used to be, but we still proceed a lot with caution. So it's, everybody's wearing masks. In some houses, we're taking our shoes off and or providing booties, hand sanitizers, maintaining social distance, trying to keep it so that as few people come on the tour as possible, which is good for selling homes. You don't want people bringing their in-laws and their mother and their cousin and their uncle. It doesn't do very, it doesn't do.
Well, I'm glad you brought that because I've had both my shots, knock on wood. And,
good for you.
So I was pretty happy. So chances of me catching it from across here are pretty small.
And I have the antibodies.
Congratulations.
I wish I had waited for the shots, but
it's interesting because we've all learned how to navigate through this time and what to do, what not to do. But as we look to, this summer and fall, it looks like it's going to be a little bit brighter for everybody. What's going to happen with the real estate market come the fall? And as far as mortgage rates, what's happening?
So first of all, interest rates are at the all-time low, and we keep saying it, and they just keep going lower. So it's unprecedented. I mean, we've spoken in the past. I think you've bought homes at 12 and 15% interest rates.
Back when,
but we're talking under 3 now. And I've seen people get interest rates at 2.25 in some cases with 15 years. And so the interest rates will continue to bring buyers to the table. I think for the foreseeable future, we're still going to see people flock to Miami. Miami is a city that's been ready to burst out of its adolescency. We have a $4.2 billion project in downtown Miami called Hudson, the size of Hudson Yards, called Miami World Center, and that's coming up. Edgewater is about to explode. There's still a lot of room for growth, but Miami has for many years been the bargain basement metropolitan city of America compared to New York, DC, LA, San Francisco. But now that we're starting to see people come to Miami and appreciate it for what it is, and maybe it was just a matter of being able to work from home or being able to have this shift in our dynamic life where people are spending more time appreciating their living spaces. I think Miami's getting the attention it so deserves. And we're starting to see those prices drive up. So I think that will continue. I can speak out of both sides of my mouth as to where the market will go and what will happen. On the one hand, I think that will continue to push, and people aren't stopping coming here now that they can work from home or move their businesses. I mean, there's a list a mile long of businesses, large businesses, Goldman Sachs, that are moving their headquarters down to Miami. And so,
for instance, that company, what are some of the reasons why they're moving here?
I think that's where people want to be. It's always where people wanted to be, but they couldn't. There's nobody that comes to Miami and doesn't say, "Oh, would I love to live here?" It's an amazing city, and it's not without its faults. We have hurricanes, we have humid summers, we often have terrible service from in the restaurant business. But I think a lot of that changes as the demand grows. But people they always want to live here, but for one reason or another, work, family, their jobs, their financial district, they need to be in Miami, in New York or Chicago or LA. But now people are coming.
Yeah, so lots of companies have realized that they don't have to have people in a building, all right? Sometimes you want that, but you realize that outsourcing work, whether it's an employee working from home or a third party, doesn't require them to be here. So whether you're in New York or Miami, all right, you want to go where it's convenient. We have people that haven't been in the office since March. They do the same job at home as they would sitting right over there.
Yeah, and if you're a big tech company or financial firm, law firm, I mean, I'm seeing people move down here that are attorneys for corporations in New York, and they're just saying, "Look, we're all work from home at least for the foreseeable future." They came down here temporarily, and then they said, "Is it okay if I go to Miami and work remote?" Sure, go ahead. They're here for 2-3 months. They say, "Hey, is it all right if I just move here and continue to do this permanently?" They go, "Yes, please, fine, whatever," because I think companies are going to have to realize that they're going to, now that people can work from home, if they can do it effectively, maybe it doesn't work for all businesses, but for those that can do it effectively, I think they're going to have to just go where the talent is. And if the talent wants to be living in a condo in Brickell and looking out at the water and going down to the pool on their lunch break, then that's what they're going to do.
So maybe 10 years ago, eMerge was brought forth by Manny Diaz, who brought it down here. And why are they doing that? Sometimes it takes years and years and years before it starts to catch up. It looks like it's catching up pretty quickly.
Well, we're catching up really quickly. And again, to speak out of the other side of my mouth, right? I mean, Miami has always been poised for growth. And I think we're seeing that now. We're by far the hottest city in the country right now. I think a close second or maybe a tie would be Dallas, Austin. Those markets are booming as well. I hear New York is starting to pick back up, but they hit a rough time. People were leaving. But we can speak all day about the great places Miami's going, and I'm a big believer in the longevity of Miami. The fact that you can buy brand new construction condos, full amenity buildings with pools and 24-hour concierge for $400 to $600 a foot is a joke in cities like New York, Boston, and LA, San Francisco. It's 3, 4, 5x that in some of these places. So I think we're still poised for serious growth in the long term. In the short term, I wonder what political situation or climate might change that might quickly affect our market. I wonder if when we hit summer, if we have a hurricane season, is that going to scare people off? My opinion, though, is as we get closer to the summer, the market's going to really hit into a frenzy, because most of the people I'm talking to are coming down here and they're trying to get their kids into the schools, whether it be the private schools like Ransom, Gulliver, Carrollton, Alexander Montessori, or whatever. They're limited on space. And these people are trying to find homes. And as the school deadline nears closer, now they're a little bit more lax because they have time. They have to the summer. I think as we get towards summer, it's going to be a frenzy and a panic for grabbing up houses so that they can get here before the school year starts. But again, you speak to that, and there's other ways. Nothing's foolproof, but I think this market's looking really strong for a very long time.
And when you look at all the people that are involved in the purchase of a house and how that money trickles down to everybody. I mean, because it's, the real estate broker, the title company, the attorneys, the families, right? The cars that are being purchased, to all the people around it.
The contractors, the flooring guys, the kitchen guys, almost every home we're selling, unless it's a turnkey new home, they're having to update floors, windows, bathrooms, put on a new roof. The painter, the landscaper, everybody's getting paid along the way for sure. And we have a lot of people that we refer in to help get that stuff done. But it's been busy. I mean, even the home stagers right now. I mean, I have Jennifer from All About the Wow doing 6 homes for me at the moment, where she's coming in, staging the house. And sometimes that's mulch and pressure washing, a little paint. And sometimes that's just making sure that you have beautiful flowers on the table like this.
And all that matters, right? Because when you come in, you say, oh, we have to do this, we have to do that. And if it looks used in that sense, that all of a sudden your mind starts going, well, I have to do all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But when it looks pleasant, right? People like that.
And in a hot market like this, there are those who would argue that you don't need to waste your time doing all that. The buyers are pouring in, just put it on the market as quickly as you can, and they're going to come bid it up. And that's not necessarily true. I mean, yes, the market's hot and you could get away with doing less. But I think now more than ever is the time to, if you're a seller and you want to push pricing and you want to move fast and have multiple offers, and you're always going to find the one buyer. But if you have 3 or 4 buyers, you can't be in a better position as a seller. And so making sure that your house appeals to everybody, and that means, yes, they don't have to do paint, they don't have to pressure. When they walk in, it just looks done for them. It makes a huge difference in how quickly you sell and maybe how much you're going to get.
So
one more topic on that is Compass. We make it really easy for people to do these staging and little minor cosmetic upgrades, because we have a program called Compass Concierge. And with Concierge, Compass actually gives the home seller the money. We lend them the money essentially, or pay the vendor directly to make these minor repairs, whichever they agree on. It's whatever the seller decides. But if they want to paint and pressure wash and do some staging and they get a quote for $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 to do all this stuff, Compass will pay that money. There's rules and limitations to that, but we will pay that money, no interest, no fees. We take it back at the tail end at the closing or at the end of 12 months, whichever comes first, so that it gives the homeowner the ability to move the home faster and everybody wins.
And the seller feels confident with that.
It's a no-brainer. If I say we're going to give you 10, 12 grand to really just make this place pop, and we can move quickly to execute it and still get it on the market, so that we appeal to all the buyers and we up the value a little bit. It makes a big difference, and we're seeing it work wonders.
So people that are not buying $4 million homes are buying, let's say, $700,000 homes, $800,000.
If they can find those.
If you can find
They exist.
What's sort of down payment? What kind of credit score do they need to really to borrow money?
You can get loans at all different types, at all different points of credit scores. I mean, obviously you want to be in the sixes. I believe above 650 is ideal. There's programs out there for less. And there's still great programs out there where people can put down very little money, 3%, 5%. They can't go above the jumbo mortgage, so it's got to be usually in the 4s or below. But I have lenders that can put together very unique structures where you'll do an FHA mortgage on the first portion of it, but if there's some excess, they do a secondary loan, and so they'll be able to kind of structure it where you get to put it all together. There's still homes out there that are $600,000-$700,000, even $500,000. Shenandoah has some gorgeous homes. It's hard to believe they're selling for $500,000-$600,000 when only 5 years ago they were selling for $200,000-$300,000. But that's the trend the market's in, and I don't think Coconut Grove gets any cheaper. And as Coconut Grove gets more expensive, Silver Bluff and Shenandoah will rise.
Either move here or they move up. That when the folks that come here that are moving into $1 million homes, they have to have significant income in order to pay for that. Does that mean that the jobs are going to follow?
I would imagine so. I think, like you said, with all these homes, it trickles down into all the various different people that make money from it. It's not just the people that have to work on the homes, but it's all the local restaurants. I mean, we're getting busy. If you look around, you see it's not COVID traffic anymore. It's starting to be bumper to bumper again.
So I see the toy business last year was up 16% because the parents were at home. The home improvement business was up last quarter for Home Depot. It was up 24% because folks weren't traveling and they were taking that money. They were buying toys for the kids and fixing up their houses. And I suspect that's going to be people that got a little bit more used to paying attention to their homes and making them nicer for sale for them to live in those. Now, we're pleased to announce that you're going to be having your own show here.
Yeah.
2 times a month. And I think the third week of February you're going to start.
So we're still knocking out the details now, but the plan is to have a regular show, be that either weekly, bi-weekly, where we'll bring on guests of various different colors. So we'll bring on the attorney that helps get the title done and goes through, and will walk us through some of the processes of getting that done. We'll bring on a mortgage broker who can speak better to the exact credit scores and programs that are available to people who want to buy those. We'll bring in the home stager to talk about things that you can do and where to best put the money in your house. People always ask that question. If I'm going to do some upgrades, where should I do them? Which the answer is always kitchen, bathrooms, floors. But after that, we'll bring in some specialists to talk about a lot of those things and make it fun.
So people want to know when they go to sell the house, they want to be able to go to somebody and have them hold their hand through the whole process. Nobody wants to go in and go, I want this, not to care. So if they call somebody like you, you're going to walk them through the whole process and tell them and you bring in the team that's going to help.
And we bring in the team. Listen, I'm not the guy that's going to walk you through or hold your hand from step A to step Z. There's a lot of players in that game. And so my job is to really oversee it, to be involved at the points that I need to be and know when I'm not the specialist. There are just times where I can answer basic questions about your mortgage and your application and the condo docs and some of the minimum requirements for owner investor versus tenant ratios in a building. But it's, the guys that are the mortgage brokers, the lenders, the bankers, those are the guys that really, really excel at that. And so we'll connect you with the right people along the way and just sort of oversee the process to the end zone.
So when we look at commercial and retail property, everybody 3 months ago, it's terrible, look at all this stuff. But the reality is all those restaurants that went out, there's going to be another restaurant in there pretty soon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they're coming.
All right. And tell us about Coco Walk.
I'm getting, sorry about that. I'm getting phone calls pretty on the regular now. I mean, again, I joined Compass almost 5 years ago. So as Compass's network grew, I grew along with it. I went to New York, I went to the Hamptons, I went to DC, LA, San Francisco, Boston, Nashville. We hosted a big conference here in Miami. So really did a lot of networking with thousands of agents. And that resulted in a large referral network, which played to my advantage this year when Miami blew up as the hottest real estate market in the country. My phone started ringing a lot, and it was like, hey, you need some in Miami? I have Levi. And they would, so I've been very fortunate to get a lot of referral business this year from all the various cities. But because I'm getting all those phone calls, it's not always for me. Sometimes they call me and they need someone in Boca. Sometimes they need someone in Palm Beach, and I don't really work those areas. I have people that I'll refer in to do that with me, but I don't personally go and do that. But I get other calls too, like commercial real estate calls. People that are looking for rooftop restaurant spaces. People that are looking for boutique hotels. There's a lot of people that are betting long on Miami, and you're going to see a lot of not just people moving here, but them bringing their businesses.
And that business is it's cyclical. The sun comes up in the morning, it goes down at night. The Shops at Sunset was just resold at a huge loss to the old owner, but the new guy got a great deal. So he's ready to rock and roll.
We have buyers looking for defunct shopping centers that want to make investments, multifamily properties, assisted living facilities. There's a lot of people coming here and betting big on Miami. They're not just buying themselves homes. They're looking for investment properties. We have developers looking for land to do, high rises. We were inches away from doing a deal in downtown Miami on an acre of land for about $24 million. COVID hit. They said, I don't know, we're going to bail. And then as things started to pick back up, they said, hey, is that parcel still available? It was 24 originally. So I called the seller. He goes, yeah, it's available, 35.
So, and for those people that were really depressed March, April, May, June, the sun is shining. There's no question on Miami.
And there's a lot of people that aren't seeing the fortunate side of COVID. And there are people that are still struggling, whose businesses are not at full capacity or having trouble getting back to where they once were. And it's a difficult place to be in because there are so many that are thriving and there's a lot of things happening. But there are people that are still suffering for that.
And I'm glad you brought that, because that's the disparity of life, which has been pushed to either side, meaning to the well-heeled and the other folks. I'm happy that Dade County's gone out of its way to make sure the people that needed help get it, and that we hope that if you have some time, energy, money, make a donation to your local charity that can help in the way that you want to. There's still plenty of food drives that are going on everywhere with that.
It's important, and actually charities are some of the people that have taken the biggest hit in all this. When the people were in fear that the economy was going to crash, or that this was the end, the first thing that gets cut is charitable giving. And I think that's maybe slowly on the rise now, but I'm making a very large effort to take a piece of everything that we have and share it.
That's very good of you to do that. So often, we give space and our time and energy to charities. The balance is that if you don't have other business to support that, then you can't give it. And one of the things that we know that has happened is the events that used to that the charities would hold are gone. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So it's different. We just need to hold out to Christmas, and I think at Christmas time that I think we're going to be singing in the streets, hopefully, and dancing.
I think so.
Maybe.
And there's a lot of people that are already singing and dancing in the streets. If you're talking to a real estate agent who's not whistling in the morning, he or she needs to get a new job. It's definitely a great time to be in the market for real estate. But like we said, there are other people that are still struggling through these times, and we try to be as sympathetic to that as possible. And a message of hope to those people, I think, is that brighter days are definitely ahead. And like you said, the more money that comes into the city, the bigger we boom. It does trickle down for everybody, and I think it's going to be really good for us all.
Thank you for that. And we're getting ready to wrap up. Levi, I want you to think about, there's probably some 18 to 25-year-old person that's looking at you right now, wondering about their future. So why don't you look into that camera right over there? And
the big
which one? Tommy, which one? This one right here, and talk to them.
To the 18 and 25-year-olds?
Yes.
I say experience. When I got into real estate, I was told from an early days, it's like, don't worry so much about how much you make, worry about what you know, and just gather knowledge, research, find somebody really good to shadow, and work hard and become the expert in whatever it is that you're doing. For me, I started on the Gables Waterway with Manny Chamizo from, at the time, Fortune International. Now he's over at Sotheby's. I'm over at Compass, and we're still very close friends. But he asked me what I wanted to do, and I said I wanted to sell nice homes. He said, where? I said, on a waterfront would be nice. He said, great, meet me at this address. And we dropped kayaks in the water. We kayaked. He taught me everything I needed to know about the seawalls and the bridge heights and davits and biminis and all the other such waterfront languages. And I would kayak that waterway, and literally we would create an entire portfolio of homes that we felt could use updating. I looked and did all the research on who they were and when they sold and how much. And you just learn the market, go to open houses. And I don't know, what is it now? It's almost a decade later, and now I have a boat and I keep it on that waterway. And I still have.
So in addition to Manny, was there somebody years and years and years ago that really helped you a lot in your life?
Many people. In fact, I think it was even you that really gave me a big push to get into real estate. And you gotta take leaps. But I remember you telling me you were not the first person to tell me to do real estate. You were probably the last. But there were several people
Thank
that told
God
me to
he
do
finally
real estate.
did it.
But I'm happy that it's a very rewarding career. It's not as fun as they make it look on Bravo television. It's exhausting. It's daunting. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of moving parts. It only gets more complicated as they make more tools that are supposed to make your life easier. They just add more plates to spin, and it's a lot to do, and it's ever changing. But it's a whole lot of fun.
Terrific. Again, that's going to be it for today. I want to thank our guests, Levi from Compass Real Estate, and we appreciate you tuning in. Tommy's producing the show, and our live audience over there. Thank you very much for being here, folks. Again, this is Live with the Miami's Community News. Have a great day.